Located far from wherever you reside, Antarctica is a destination that remains elusive to many. The journey to reach this continent is challenging and costly, contributing to its allure and invoking images of a science fiction-like frozen world. Hidden beneath this frozen expanse of Antarctica lies an advanced subterranean civilization. At least that's what Admiral Richard Byrd, a renowned American explorer, disclosed in his controversial diary.
When we accidentally flew into some kind of crater in the ground, my crew and I noticed aircraft we had never seen before. Human-like creatures met us, but they seemed much more developed than people. I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of the United States of America. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on the behalf of humanity. Incredible. I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders.
This astounding revelation, which surprisingly came to light in the late 1990s, presents a detailed account of society beneath our feet. The implications of this record deeply unsettled society, particularly considering that the source was the documented experiences of a highly esteemed American military pilot who had received numerous prestigious state awards. Byrd, a skilled navigation expert and U.S. Navy officer, achieved remarkable feats throughout his career. In 1926, he accomplished the extraordinary feat of being the first person to fly over the North Pole, although some skeptics emerged in later years, questioning whether he truly reached the pole. The following year, he further solidified his aviation legacy by completing one of the earliest transatlantic flights a few weeks after Charles Lindbergh's groundbreaking achievement. Byrd's groundbreaking pursuits continued in 1929 when he became the first pilot to successfully fly to the South Pole and return. Driven by an insatiable spirit of exploration, Byrd revisited the Antarctic on multiple occasions, fueling tales of his adventurous nature. However, it was his purported 1947 expedition to the North Pole, on which he purportedly witnessed a subterranean civilization in this location. Naturally, numerous inquiries arise in response to such revelations. How could an entire civilization establish itself underground? And most significantly, who are the inhabitants dwelling beneath us? Throughout history, people have believed in the existence of a hidden world beneath the surface of our planet. However, Edmund Halley, after whom the Halley Comet was named, an English astronomer, geophysicist, mathematician, and meteorologist, took this concept seriously in 1692. Halley proposed the idea that our Earth is composed of a hollow shell approximately 800 kilometers thick, with two inner shells and a core. These shells are separated by an atmosphere, each having its own magnetic poles. Naturally, Halley's theories were initially mocked by the scientific community. Over the following centuries, some researchers attempted to expand and substantiate this hypothesis. The new perspective of the hollow Earth proposed the concept of a miniature sun positioned at its core, generating a thriving and habitable ecosystem on the opposite side of the Earth's outer surface. Around the period when interest in an underground civilization reached its peak, the renowned French author Jules Verne, celebrated for his Voyages Extraordinaires series, penned the novel Journey to the Center of the Earth. This book paints a picture of a completely different world that could be found on the center of our planet. In 1818, John Cleves Sims, an engineer, wrote a letter to Congress requesting for funding an expedition that would prove this theory. Naturally, the authorities did not allocate any funds for this research, causing the hypothesis to be largely forgotten. The notion of a hollow Earth with a populated interior may sound absurd, reminiscent of legends and folklore. Yet such stories could potentially hold a fragment of truth. It is intriguing to consider if these narratives align with the observations made by aviator Richard Byrd. Additionally, in recent times, irrefutable evidence supporting Byrd's claims has surfaced with the aid of modern technology. On November 23, 1968, the American spacecraft SS-7 captured images of the North Pole, revealing a prominent black hole in the absence of clouds. The puzzling question arises, Why has this discovery not been thoroughly investigated? Furthermore, all flights over the North Pole, including research satellites, are currently prohibited. The official explanation cites precautionary measures due to weak gravity at the poles, which supposedly hinders the stability of airborne vehicles. However, it is possible that these restrictions conceal something undisclosed from the public. Now, let us dive deeper into the contents of Byrd's controversial diary. His entries from February 19, 1947, initially appeared ordinary. He mentioned waking up early and preparing for the upcoming research flight over the North Pole. The organization of the flight to the North Pole was meticulously planned, and everything seemed to be proceeding smoothly. However, during the flight, Byrd noticed a minor oil leak in the engine, which coincided with turbulence. As he grappled with the controls to avert a potential crash, the aircraft unexpectedly entered what appeared to be a cave. Emerging from it, the pilot and his team discovered a mountain range they had not previously observed during their prior expeditions to the North Pole. Even more astonishing was the sight of green valleys and forests, contrary to their expectations of encountering only snow and ice. He also noted the absence of the sun, although an unusual light bathed their surroundings. Subsequently, the diary entries mentioned that the radio and navigational instruments malfunctioned, and the plane seemed to be circling on its own. Eventually landing, the team found themselves in the presence of peculiar plants and unfamiliar animals, some resembling mammoths. Richard described encountering strange flying machines, from which human-like beings emerged. These beings stood tall and possessed bare skin with a subtle blue-green hue, akin to the local water bodies. Notably, they had white hair and donned distinctive attire. Remarkably, Richard understood their language when they spoke. When he asked where he was, the mysterious being informed him that he was now underground. He was then invited to explore the underground civilization, which was named Agartha. What he saw there would blow our minds. The people there traveled on wheel-less platforms and resided in crystal-made houses, creating a city that radiated and shimmered with a kaleidoscope of rainbow colors. He repeatedly expressed his inability to find adequate words to describe what he had witnessed. However, one thing was unquestionably clear to him. He had encountered a civilization that far surpassed our own in the fields of science, culture, and technology. The Admiral was extended an invitation by a representative of the local authorities, whom he referred to as the Master in his diary. The Master explained to Byrd that the Agartha in the past had refrained from making contact with humans and had abstained from involvement in their wars. However, two major devastating events made them decide to reach out to the humans: the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atomic bombings. They endeavored to communicate with people after 1945, only to be met with hostility. Now, it fell upon the pilot to convey the Agarthians' warning to the representatives of his terrestrial civilization. According to the subterranean creatures, humanity was perilously close to reaching a point of no return. When Byrd and his team returned to the surface, he promptly recorded everything he had seen and heard in his diary. Later, he voiced this message during a meeting at the Pentagon. However, the pilot and his crew were strictly forbidden from disseminating this information. Being a professional military man, Byrd obediently followed this order. Since then, he had been plagued by the burden of a secret he could not divulge to humanity. It appears that destiny orchestrated the unveiling of his secrets as Byrd's diary became publicly accessible on December 24, 1965. The majority of us would simply brush aside his account as utterly fantastical, lacking any semblance of rationality. After all, Byrd himself was a controversial figure. Some individuals assert that he fabricated the civilization to generate investor interest, and even falsified his expeditions to the North Pole. Why else did he not capture a single photograph? Private donations and corporate sponsorship played a crucial role in financing Byrd's Antarctic expeditions. Additionally, funding and promotional support were obtained through media and publishing agreements with prominent entities such as Columbia Broadcasting, Paramount Pictures, and the New York Times. Scholars have proposed that these media contracts and radio broadcast arrangements could have significantly influenced the expedition's operations. In fact, there were suggestions that Byrd had a ghostwriter, specifically Charles Murphy. There were also allegations that the pilot was exposed to carbon monoxide poisoning, causing him to exhibit signs of slight derangement. This would explain the insane accounts that he had written in his diary. The question now is, how can we verify the veracity of Byrd's accounts? There is a singular method to prove or dispute the claims made by Byrd and his followers, and that is to discover the entrance to Agartha. There are some peculiar phenomena occurring in the region which are being associated with the existence of the underground civilization. For instance, researchers have observed a temperature increase as one approaches the poles, a phenomenon known as Arctic amplification. American meteorologist William Sellers was one of the first to discuss this in 1969. Additionally, plant seeds have been discovered in the northern polar region of the ocean, where they seemingly should not exist in such a frigid environment. Furthermore, it has been found that the icebergs surrounding the North Pole consist of frozen fresh water, rather than seawater. Scientists have also encountered red pollen of unknown origin on these ice blocks. Another intriguing fact pertains to certain bird species migrating northward before winter. It seems perplexing for them to flee from the cold to an even chillier location. Ornithologists often explain this behavior as a means to avoid competition for food with other bird species that remain in warmer regions. However, this explanation seems somewhat doubtful. This is not the only possible evidence suggesting the existence of an entrance to warm areas with abundant vegetation in the north. For example, one can observe driftwood along the icy shores of Greenland. These are areas where trees have washed ashore. Some of these trees can reach lengths of up to 5 meters. The origin of these trees remains a mystery. Geologists have also made notable discoveries on the northern coast of Siberia, finding not only mammoths, which are expected in such an environment, but also elephants, rhinoceroses, hippopotamuses, and lions. These animals can only thrive in warm regions. Additionally, tropical plants, which do not grow in circumpolar regions, were found in the stomachs of frozen mammoths. These findings suggest that Agartha could be located nearby, harboring a wealth of animals and vegetation. Nearly every ancient civilization possesses a narrative or reference to the inner realms of the earth, as well as civilizations or inhabitants residing within its core. Numerous accounts depict these places as purgatories where deceased spirits dwell, rather than flourishing societies in the present. The Greeks spoke of Hades, Christians referred to it as hell, and in Judaism, it is known as Sheol. However, most of these subterranean domains were primarily allegorical and religious tools employed to dissuade people from committing sins rather than actively sought-after realms. Nevertheless, there are cultures that provide closer descriptions of Agartha, complete with associated cities and pathways leading to it. In Tibetan Buddhism, for instance, there exists a secretive and mystical city known as Shambhala, believed to be situated deep within the Himalayas. Some speculate that Shambhala might potentially be connected to Agartha. Interestingly, Tibetans refer to Shambhala as the capital of Agartha itself. It is said that the inhabitants of Shambhala possess scientific knowledge and expertise surpassing that of ordinary humans. Agartha is believed to possess a minimum of 7 entrances, with 3 of them located in Brazil. The first entrance is said to be situated at Iguazu Falls, the second in the state of Monte Grosso, and the third in the city of Manaus. In Ecuador, there exists a cave called Cueva de los Tallos, which, according to local legends, leads to an underground realm inhabited by highly intelligent beings. Within this cave, metal plates with engravings were discovered, dating back 200 million years. After deciphering these drawings, Hungarian-Argentine scientist Juan Moritz, despite facing skepticism, expressed his conviction that there are advanced beings residing underground. Regardless of the various names assigned by different countries and religions to the underworld and its inhabitants, one thing remains evident. These stories could not have arisen without reason. Will the existence of an underground civilization beneath the Earth's surface ever be unveiled? Numerous attempts have been made to drill as deep as possible to explore its depths, with the Kola super-deep borehole reaching a depth of approximately 7 miles. However, the Russian team leading the operation did not encounter Agartha, suggesting that it likely resides much further below. The discoveries made during these drilling efforts revealed that our understanding of what lies beneath is far from comprehensive. Many of our preconceived theories were proven incorrect, shedding light on previously unknown aspects of the Earth's crust. Notably, a layer of basalt called the Conrad discontinuity was conspicuously absent, while the presence of water was detected in unexpected areas. This serves as a powerful reminder that our knowledge of what lies beneath the surface remains uncertain and incomplete. What are your thoughts about this? I hope you like our story. Until the next one.